All right, so tell the YouTube people what's going on this time.
Well, it's December 2015, and it's getting close Christmas, so you can see that Nathan and I were getting ready for Christmas. That's my big tree that I used ever since I moved into this apartment, which is 8 years now. And
I didn't get it for you quite that long ago.
it's also Pearl Harbor Day, 7th of December. And I have talked about that before. I can remember when Pearl Harbor Day was, because my brother happened to be there. And I was sitting here thinking the other day about some of the things that I remember from when I was a kid. And my grandparents had a Victrola. That's what we called them in those days, and it wasn't electric. You wound it up. And when it started to wind down, it would get slower, slower, slower. And one of the songs that I remember, I shouldn't have, was May I Sleep in Your Barn Tonight, Mister. I was sitting out here on the porch one day with some of the people from here in the apartment, some of the ladies in it, and I started to sing that. May I sleep in your barn tonight, mister. It is cold laying out on the ground, and the cold north wind is a-blowing, and I have no place to lie down. Well, they all looked at me really funny and started to laugh. I don't think anybody there ever heard of that song before. So one of the girls went up to senior citizens, and she was telling them about this song. And one of the guys, I think it was Grub Sellers, said, well, he'd like to have a copy of it. So they got I don't know who did it, but they got on the internet and they got a copy of it, and I have the whole thing. So it turns out, toward the end, the poor guy, a traveling salesman came around, and his wife and child left with her. So he was left in a lurch. It was one of those heart-rending songs from way back in the 1930s, I guess. Nothing did I spy but a letter placed in the room on the stand. And the moment my eyes fell upon it, I picked it right up in my hand. Now, the note said that Stella and the stranger had run away and taken my child. I'm sure that a God up in heaven and will do as a stranger. I'm sure that a God up in heaven and will do as a stranger deserves. So he deserves what? Yeah. And then there were some other songs that I remember from the same Victrola, and one of them was, who's that knocking at my door? Who's that knocking at my door? Who's that knocking at my door? Cried a fair young maiden. Oh, it's only me from over the sea, said Margaret Will the sailor. And she says, I'll come down and let you in. I'll come down and let you in.
They did a Popeye cartoon years ago, and the whole thing was to that song.
Really?
Yes.
Well, Popeye would be like Margaret Will the sailor.
He'd be about from that same time period, too.
And he says, hurry before I break the door, said Margaret Will the sailor. So he must have been a tough old guy, Margaret Will the sailor.
Probably.
But that was his song. And I remember a lot of songs from when we were kids, because we didn't have a TV, but we had a radio, and they played mostly what we listened to was WWBA, Wheeling, West Virginia. And it was all hillbilly songs. Like, what was one I was thinking of? On the top of Old Smoky. On the top of Old Smoky, all covered with snow, I lost my true love from a courting too slow. Now courting's a pleasure, but parting is grave. And a false-hearted lover is worse than a thief. Yeah, lady.
There just went every single subscriber.
And that's my rendition of how hillbillies sing. Okay. Then some of the things, since it's close to Christmas, I can remember some of the Christmases that we had at home. And certainly we didn't get a lot of stuff like the kids do today. Like if we got a sled, it was for all of us. One time we bought ourselves a bicycle. We started saving money. Now this is myself, my brother, another sister, another brother, a bunch of us. But we wanted a bicycle. So we started putting every little cent that we got, and I don't even know where we got any money, in a can. It was sitting there in the cupboard. Well, my dad put some money in it too, and finally we got enough for a bicycle. And we had to take turns on it, riding the bicycle, but we had a bicycle. Sleds, my dad could make sleds. He made us a bobsled. I mean, a big sled that a bunch of kids could sit on it. It was hard to pull up the hill, though, because it took a couple of bigger boys to pull that sled back up the hill once we all went down on it. And he even put some kind of a steering wheel on it and a running board to put your feet on. My dad was good at making things. And I do remember that. And now I don't think the kids go sledding a lot.
Oh, yes, they do.
Do they?
You know, people watch this channel know that I work in a store, and we sell lots of sleds every winter. It's mostly them little plastic ones, but we sell a lot of sleds.
There's the one they call a big round one.
They have like the saucers, and then they have the long, narrow ones, and oh, do we ever sell sleds and inner tubes.
And here in McVeigh and up at Newton Hamilton too, they would close off one of the streets for the kids to sled ride on. Well, they scraped them so the streets so much now that there wouldn't be any sledding on the street.
Right, and that'd be considered way too dangerous these days.
Yes, more traffic and everything. And lightning glider sleds were made down, what's the name of that place toward Harrisburg? And they're considered antiques now, I guess. We had skates too. I never got good at skating, but we skated on the river. And up at Newton, the kids skated on the old canal. It froze over every winter. And there were what we called shoe skate. Oh, when I was little, we didn't have shoe skates. There were skates that you fastened onto your shoes. Maybe they were shoe skates. They fastened on your shoe. They clipped on somehow. My one brother could really skate, Bob, and jump and twirl and do a lot of fancy things. Me, I was never really good at it. I probably was on my butt more than I was on the ice. I'm a butt on the ice.
I've never even tried to ice skate.
I don't know where you'd go.
There's not too many places around here where you really can anymore.
No, it don't. Even the canal up there, and that water's pretty still, but it don't freeze over. They used to build a fire and have fun skating. So, I started to talk about Christmas. One year my aunt got me a doll, a beautiful doll. And the dolls then they weren't rubber dolls, made out of rubber or anything. If you got water on them, they were ruined. And I was so unhappy. I left my doll outside overnight and it rained on it and its face got all ruined and I could have cried. And I called that doll's name was Esther. Because that's who gave it to me, my aunt, Esther. And we usually got maybe a game or something that all of us could play. And we played a lot of games around the table when I was a kid. Like Old Maids and a game called Rook with cards and different things like that. And our tree was not a bought tree. We went out in the woods and cut a tree. now you're not allowed to do that unless it's on your own ground.
Or if you go to a tree farm or something.
Yes. You don't go out and cut. Yeah, you can cut them. But maybe not most of the people. A lot of the people now have artificial trees.
Yeah, getting back to, me working in a store, we sell, cut trees, and we sell a lot of those. I mean, that's, something a lot of people still do.
Florence's son and daughter-in-law sell them down here along the road. She said, Rhonda told her they sold 22 trees yesterday.
I'd believe that.
That's good.
A lot of people still want a real tree.
Yeah. So, what, my mother, I think, usually got us something to wear for Christmas. Hey, we were pleased with whatever we got because we didn't get a lot of clothes either, so if we got some clothes or something to wear or maybe one little knick-knack or toy or something, we were happy. My kids thought Sears and Roebuck catalog was from Santa Claus, I think, because we used to get the Sears and Roebuck catalog and they would go through and say, like this, like this, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent for a lot of things.
Well, kids still kind of do that, except now it's evolved, They'll go online and say, I want this and this and this and this. Or, big stores like the one I work for have a little flyer and, it's like a holiday wish list thing. Yeah. So, it might be different, in that sense, but in a way it's still the same.
Yeah, the kids get to pick it out. And I was going to say something else.
Well, I think since you have the tree right here, some of the ornaments on it belonged, to Grandma Corbin, and some of them were made, by, friends and neighbors over the years.
My neighbor made that.
Like here, I'll get a close up of that.
My neighbor made a lot of things, and she made this crocheted. Oh, wait, like showering.
That little snowflake there.
Well, the one up there with your picture on.
I'll show that later, but
And she made a crocheted snowflake for each one of my grandsons, Nathan and Ian and Corey. And I think.
Matter of fact, I'll just go get it.
This Nathan's is here, and I think Corey and Ian probably have theirs someplace.
I think I was 6 years old when this picture was taken.
Probably your school kit picture.
It is, but I think I was 6 years old when that picture was taken, and that's about as focused as it's going to get in this light. But yeah, she made that little snowflake.
Oh, maybe there's a date on it.
It says 1993.
Yeah.
So I'd have had to have been about 6 years old.
You were born in 1987.
Right.
Oh. So what we did, Nathan and I, he's always, since he was a little kid, trimmed a tree for me, even when I lived up home. Now that I live here in the apartments, he brings a tree and we decorate it. And now we have our supper in the oven. We have pork to make barbecue pork, and we have potatoes baking in the oven. And so I took some things that I didn't want. We opened up our box of trimmings, and I said, well, here's some things we don't need. I put them out on the table. We have what we call a giveaway table out here in our apartments, and
didn't take long for it to disappear.
A guy come by, and I said, that's yours if you want. And he said, thanks, and took it. It was a little nativity set.
Because we already have one.
And a little cross.
Mm-hmm. Just leftover odds and ends you don't know where else to put.
I have quite a few things that I got off of that table out there. Some milk glass, and that little thing there is milk glass. And people unpack when they come in, and I start unpacking. They say, well, I don't have room for this. I don't have room. When you move into a little apartment and you come from a house, you shouldn't bring a lot of extra things because you don't have room for them. the best Christmases we had, I guess, when our kids were little. I told you the story about Linda and her bicycle and her doll, Gabby Hayes. I wrote that to the Common Ground magazine. I just read it the other day there. One of our friends in here died, and when she died, they went through all her things, and one of the things that she had was every Common Ground magazine that came out, and that's a local magazine. It's published right here in McVeigh and one of the publishers was a good friend of ours that we used to go camping with. In fact, the camp belonged to her and her parents, and now she and her brother own it. But Pam said to us one day when we were at camp, if everything turns out right, we're going to have publish a magazine, she and her cousin. And people just love it because it's so...
It's got a lot of local history in it, and
yeah.
Different things about this area. It's very
and now
interesting.
I think they sell some about every state, maybe overseas
I
too.
wouldn't be surprised.
People send it to their friends or prescribe to it for their friends that live in other states, and so they have a good little business there. Pam and Ruth.
Well, we're just out of time for this one, so any final thing you want to say?
Well, I do want to say I hope that everybody remembers what Christmas is all about and not just getting gifts and that, but it's about the birth of Jesus. And that's why I always like to have a little nativity set, and I always try to remind my kids, don't forget, it's Jesus' birthday. I had a sister, she'd get up on just a Christmas morning with her, when her kids were little, and they would sing happy birthday to Jesus. But I think that, and the preacher mentioned this Sunday at church, that there's people that celebrate, a lot of people that celebrate Christmas don't even know what it's about. It's just a holiday to them. And my mother made sure we knew what it was all about. We were brought up in the church. Nathan was too when he was little, because I took him to church. And I'm sure you don't want me to sing again, do you?
How about I leave that up to the viewers? If you want to hear more singing, leave it in the comments below and let us know.